What's up, everybody? This is the Act Man here, and I don't know about you, but after seeing the Halo CE Remake be revealed the way it was, I have some questions, some concerns, and worries, if you will. A bit of hype. But I figured, since there's some things I see that are wrong with it, why not get the boys together and try to save Halo? With me today, I have, you know him, you love him, Hidden Xperia.
Why, hello there. Good to be back.
And two elusive YouTubers who I really enjoy. We have Favin, Master Sprint Debater.
That's right, Master Debater.
And Batman himself.
What's up, guys? B-Dog here.
B. Dobbins for the win. And today we're just going to shoot the shit and talk about Halo, so that's pretty much it. First, let's talk about, like, what is the strategy with a combat evolved remake? Because there's a lot of things I feel like don't make sense about it, and are also very interesting. The fact that it's coming to PS5, first Halo game on a PS5, it feels like they're trying to reach out to that broader audience, right? But is this really the way to do it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the approach, the idea with it is, in very small part, to try and fix a lot of the issues people had with Halo 1 Anniversary, which, I mean, we'll come to that at some point, because ironically they've fallen into a lot of the same pitfalls that they fell into with that game. But I feel like also the idea with this is they've looked at Resident Evil, because I mean Resident Evil has kind of paved the way with remakes in the modern era, and for the most part, Resident Evil 3 notwithstanding, it has done them really well, and it's led to a lot of franchise revitalization. So I assume the kind of like genesis idea for this was like, right, let's do what Resident Evil did with its remakes for Halo, while at the same time bring it to a PlayStation audience. But saying you want to do that and actually pulling that off are two very different things.
You know, it kind of makes me think that, like, the remake trend is yet another trend on the 343 Halo Studios truck stop, right? It feels like every game they've released has always chased some other popular trend in some form or another, right? Like, if you look at Halo 5, they were obviously inspired by the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and they tried to create one of their own, but it just didn't work. And then Halo Infinite, they had those like God of War type cutscenes where it's the continuous camera shot, and they were chasing the free-to-play live service, and Halo 4 was trying to be like Call of Duty. This one, I don't know. What do you think about that?
I saw it as it was just like the most cautious move available. You know, it's like they don't want to invest a huge budget and a huge amount of resources into something and then have it flop again. And so you just do this bare minimum thing, this single campaign remake that's going to require bare minimum effort. You put it on PlayStation, where the PlayStation audience hasn't ever had it yet, so you have some more chances of success there with people who've never played it. And it's just sort of this bare minimum thing where no matter what, they can't fail too hard because they're not putting too much behind it to begin with. Whereas with like Infinite, when Infinite flops and they've spent all this money and put all this time into it, that hurts. This is something where if it goes wrong, it's not going to hurt that bad.
Is it going to go wrong?
I think it's going to go wrong.
Yeah. I mean,
I think we're going to spend way more time talking about it in advance than we'll talk about it after it's come out. I think after it's come out, we'll talk about it for 2 weeks. And, on a Saturday, you can beat the Halo 1 campaign. On a day off from work, and then that's it, and then that's the major content release for 2 years, and that kind of sucks.
Yeah, Fav, are you
I
gonna
kind of feel
say
that as
something?
well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just to kind of piggyback off of that. That's kind of how I felt when I first saw it, where it's just like, okay, we've had obviously Infinite was a transitional moment with the Slip Space engine. We're switching to Unreal. We're changing the name of the studio. We've had all this turnover. We're having to like put messages out basically saying, hey, don't worry guys, Halo's gonna keep going. Like that was kind of like the state that we were in. And I think when you have
rough.
That's rough.
Yeah, so rough.
That was rough.
And I think when you have all of that happen and then you are kind of switching to kind of a new pipeline essentially, I really thought, and this is a little bit of a spoiler the way I'm kind of thinking about it in like my own videos, but the way it's almost like it's not a project of passion, it's almost a project of convenience, where it's like, hey, what is something that we can do where all of the building blocks are kind of already in place and we can kind of get our feet wet with kind of the new processes and the new pipelines and the new tools, and what's something that we can kind of create real quick, or quicker than obviously a full-blown new Halo project where it's new story, new everything, right? It's like, hey, the bones are already there. We can kind of piggyback off of this. We're not even doing multiplayer, right? And so to me, it doesn't feel like they're making something that had all of this fervent demand. I don't know about you guys. You guys are Halo fans. Is this even top 5 on like the Halo projects that you were looking for?
No, I had no demand
fans?
for this.
Nope.
So,
when they announced this,
okay.
I was like, oh my goodness, like how unambitious.
So I'm a freak, and I actually wanted this game. In theory, I wanted this game because, again, I've looked at the Resident Evil remakes, played them a lot, and I love what they've managed to do for the franchise. I've already said this in videos, but this is by no means how I would have done a Halo 1 remake, but I do think coming from more of like the lore and the story and the universe side, there actually is, at least within my remit, a lot of potential with this game. But at the same time, I definitely acknowledge that is a more niche thing, and it's definitely not the kind of game that's going to have insane mass broad appeal, which is ironic given the whole broader audience thing. But yeah, just wanted to say that I am one of the freaks who, in theory, did kind of want this game, but for different reasons.
Yeah, so isn't it a little odd to be doing a Halo? So what you were saying, Fav, is that basically this is not a project being led by a Halo CE fanboy. This is a project of convenience. And so is that if you're going to remake the like starting point of this franchise and like what put it on the map, don't you think there's better reasons for that? It seems like if you're going into it with the wrong reasons, will you create the right product? And you know, it's like if you're trying to like B Diamond said, like we're going to talk about it for 2 weeks and then move on. Probably, unless they change their mind and say, yeah, we're going to do multiplayer. But so there's no player base that's going to stick around really after they play it and beat it.
Yeah. I mean, tactically, if you're sitting in like a boardroom with a bunch of execs, you're like, hey, this makes a ton of sense, right? We can reuse a bunch of resources, the entire story, the campaign, the encounter design, everything's kind of laid out for us.
Yeah, we don't have to
write it. We don't have to, I mean, obviously, we can get into like how it's actually being designed in a little bit, but the bones are there. The core Halo experience, it's already like one of everybody's favorite games of all time. Even if you go in and change a bunch of stuff, like at least the core is already a good game, and reviewers aren't going to pay that much attention to it. You'll get at least an 8 out of 10, right? Just for it being a Halo Combat Evolved remake.
So how hard could it be to fuck it up? I get what you're saying. How hard could it be?
Yeah, and again, they are introducing it to PlayStation. I think the fact that there's this ecosystem of players that have literally been landlocked on PlayStation for 30 years. I think that's a little overrated. I think there's a little bit more crossover than people want to give it credit for. I guarantee you, like the people who have never even played a Halo game, even at a friend's, like that is a smaller number than I think we're saying. But I get the idea. It's going on a new platform. Let's introduce it to these players from the very beginning with a project where we can get our feet wet and kind of learn all our new tools and our new pipelines and just get something out there, make some money, because we got to do something. It's been 5 years, but
right.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, it's to me, it doesn't scream like this. We had to make it like
we were so passionate about it
until we made the Halo Combat Evolved remake for the second time. Like, I doubt that was it.
Here's the thing.
Yeah, well, that's the other frustrating.
Right here, I just wanted to say, if they're chasing like the Resident Evil 4 remake trends, I pointed this out in my video. I don't know if you guys watched it, but I was like, remaking the first Halo and not including like multiplayer or potentially other supplementary features. Like, Luke, imagine if they came out with the Resident Evil 4 remake and they were like, yeah, no, we're not going to do mercenaries. Yes, sorry, no.
Yeah.
No, no separate ways. Can't do it. No separate ways. Not enough money in the budget. Oof.
Yeah, exactly.
It was
it's
DLC,
just the bare minimum.
It wasn't their launch.
Right,
yeah,
to be fair,
true.
But the remake was substantial enough with new content when it did come out. And I think Mercenaries came out like a month later and it was free, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But Separate Ways was like $6, maybe?
I think it was 10,
but
it was like
than the old.
It had
way
way more. Yeah, it had way more sauce. It was actually like a proper thing this time, not just like running backwards through the levels a few times.
Yeah, dude, that Ganado fight on the rooftops where you got the grapple hook, like that was worth it to me. So that was like, I feel like bringing up the RE4 remakes and even the Dead Space one, but like the way the Resident Evil franchise is being handled right now, I feel like is kind of peak, because not only are they capitalizing off of nostalgia and remaking those older games that like maybe a lot of people didn't play back on the old hardware, but they're also creating brand new games to show you that like, hey, we're not just selling you games you already played and bought before. We're still making new stuff. And I just wish Halo could be run like that, man, where it's just like a fucking 2D Halo side scroller. Give the IP to somebody, man. Give it to an indie company, you know?
Yeah, well, if we hold out long enough, it can be kind of like with Mickey Mouse, like 50 years after Walt Disney fucking died, Mickey Mouse goes fair use, so now anyone can do what they want with him. So if we can just survive long enough, work on our diets, get that exercise, we have to outlive those original developers by 50 years or whatever. Then Halo's fair use. You see what happens with like El Dorito and stuff. There's a lot of love out there. Someone will get their hands on it and do the right thing. We just got to hold out.
I think we're at 47 years, right? We got
the
47 more years.
Yeah,
the plan now is to wait for Halo to go public domain.
A small fry.
Isn't it like a 72-year like wait period or something for it to become
75? I think, and for it to hit public domain, I think it's 75.
Then we'll get the good Halo games, and then we'll finally.
You got modern medical advances, guys. We can make it. You just gotta hold out.
I don't
back
know.
on those McFlurries, guys.
My healthcare bill disagrees with that statement.
Yeah, I'm gonna have fucking arthritis by then. I can already tell. Like, it's already not great.
Yeah. So I think like even when 343 or Halo Studios chases trends, it feels like they never fully commit to them. So if you're going to chase the whole like remake angle, then do it justice, right? This also like, people have been bringing up the Halo Anniversary remaster remake, and while a lot of people shit on the graphics, rightfully so, I think one thing I really haven't seen many people bring up were the terminal cutscenes. Now, I thought that shit was fucking peak to expand on the Halo 1 story, but that also begs the question, like, are they gonna remake those? Because that was like 25 minutes of additional Halo 1 story. Luke, you know what I'm talking about, right? Those terminals, they were fucking awesome.
Yeah, the Halo 1 terminals were really good. Actually, to be fair, the Halo 2 one is pretty good as well.
Yeah, I think the Halo 1 was good. The first one is like 343 sending out a call to the Pillar of Autumn before being like, "Oh, you are reclaimers," and then he turns off like the ring security system, and that's why they can land on it. I thought that was so fucking cool,
guys. The Connect functionality, obviously.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Holy Connect functionality.
Yeah, you could say Connect, throw a grenade, and it would throw a grenade in game. It was the most useless addition I've ever seen in a video game, ever.
Oh god.
Yeah.
R.I.P. the Connect. Those were the
I know what you mean
days.
about the lore stuff though, because that was a good example of just expanding existing stuff without really changing anything all that much. And I think for me, that's like the core design principle that I wanted with this game that we're not getting in a lot of ways, is that I just wanted Halo 1, but with a lot of the with the ceiling lifted, the ceiling that the hardware in 2001 held it at, lifted up by modern hardware, which does not mean adding loads of mechanics that weren't in the original game. Just means adding stuff that Bungie couldn't add, like extra stuff that maybe they added to the lore afterwards, or graphical stuff.
More complicated scripting and encounters.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
cool
to be fair,
if they just if they upped the amount of aliens you were fighting at once, right? They could just like throw an army at you now on the new processing power, and like that's what they did from like one of the big advancements they made from Halo 1 to Halo 2 and then Halo 3 was that they were just doing bigger and bigger fights. Like by Halo 3, you had those giant fights with 2 scarabs and 10 human scorpions and all that shit. That would be cool if they did something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's the issue with it for me. Like, I just feel like
but it doesn't
it's
look
gonna
like
come out.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's gonna come out and there's gonna be a lot of stuff that was added or changed that resources went into that wasn't necessary, whereas there's tons of stuff they could have added or could have done or could have built upon that those resources could have gone to, but they didn't do it because they added stuff like, I don't know, other mechanics or whatever. It's one of those projects where, like, in Dream World, in my mind, it could be so good, but I just know that there's gonna be so many pitfalls, and having seen it and played it now, it's like part of me, I'm torn, because like the Johnson levels are a great example of that. Like that stuff is really cool. That's the kind of stuff that I want from a remake, from a modern remake of a classic game. Extra stuff that the devs couldn't have done back in the day. But then you play it and it's like, oh, we redesigned everything and used loads of infinite assets and added sprint and all this stuff, and it's like, okay, so
and it's
we're
like
doing
how
that
much
again.
of that can and will be changed. Now,
Right.
I feel like it's worth it real quick to at least get like an idea of where all our collective headspaces on it are, because I want to ask you guys, just like on a scale of 1 to 10, how much faith do you have that this remake is not only going to be fun and enjoyable to play, but also feel like a worthy remake of CE? On a scale of 1 to 10.
They're two very different questions.
Oh, are they?
Go on, BW,
Elaborate.
go first.
I have very little faith. The thing is, the way we treat game development and video games are obviously like an art form. But we don't treat the people who make these things like artists, because we just swap them out as if they're like a construction crew or something. Like, if this was the music industry and they told you, oh, there's a new Linkin Park album coming out, but it has none of the original Linkin Park members. They're just doing their best to like remix a Linkin Park song. You hear some random person out there is remixing a Jay-Z song or something. It's not like a huge deal. It's like, okay, maybe I'll listen to it when I'm rolling on ecstasy or something, but it's not like as big a deal as an actual new Linkin Park or a new Jay-Z song. We don't do that with gaming. With gaming, we just swap in and out the people that are behind the project and say that they can still create this same piece of art even though it's not the same artist. We don't do that in any other artistic format. We don't say that, this is a Quentin Tarantino film made by somebody else. You know what I mean? And that's the problem with this, is that they're remaking something that they don't necessarily fully understand, because when you're an artist and you're making something, even the artist who makes the thing doesn't fully understand what they've made. It's just it's a product of their uniqueness and their unique creativity as human beings, and that's all lost when we just turn it into a corporate like construction firm.
Yo, preach.
Yeah,
he was straight spitting right there. Yeah, imagine a Star Wars movie that's not composed by John Williams. You might also say that Halo Studios chasing after this remake and what they might not understand about it. It's almost like going to what you think is a hidden weapons cache and finding something else entirely there.
Right. Well,
Nice.
I've just been let down so many times now by so many different franchises, and you bring up Star Wars. That's a great example of it. You know what I mean? When we had the Star Wars sequels, it was like they understood on paper like what makes a Star Wars movie. They had all the.
But they didn't want to take counsel from George Lucas. Like, they wanted the original
Right.
creative vision kind of out of the picture so they could do their own fucking thing with it. Sorry.
Exactly. And so when we look at the trailer gameplay footage, it didn't look right at all to me. I thought the Covenants looked too goofy. I thought the graphics, they looked technically better, but I didn't find the art style more aesthetically pleasing, to be honest. And then when you hear about things like Sprint changes everything. Sprint completely changes everything. I mean, you'd have to change, when you look at like maps that have been remade from Halo 2 to one of the Halos with Sprint, they have to completely change the map and make it bigger dimensions, because otherwise it would be stupid to play on, because everyone would just be sprinting around in melee, and that'd be the only sensible thing to do. So that's also going to apply here to campaign. A mission like the library, that's going to be a lot easier if I can just sprint through those hallways, without having to stop and deal with the flood. There's a lot of missions like that where I can think about it now. I know those missions well. I can picture all the missions I'm going to be able to just sprint through and skip the mission, basically.
Yeah.
And another example of that is, on Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 from the beloved Bungie. And I made videos documenting this. I could skip through 90% of Destiny 1 and Destiny 2, just sprinting through it. Everyone's making these videos, making a big deal. Oh, this is your custom class loadout. this is the strategy to beat this boss and all this shit. I'm like, no, you can skip it all. Just hold down that sprint button. And I have a funny feeling that's going to happen all over again. And that's what happens when it's not the original artist and they're just sort of chasing these metrics on paper, right? I guarantee you what's going on is they have some focus group. They have some data on paper that says, oh, people like sprint. Well, surprise, surprise, we all knew that. So they said, okay, so the game's got to have sprint. But they're not thinking about the larger implications of how that affects the larger jigsaw puzzle of the game.
It does feel like I wrote a note with the new Unreal Engine and you guys saying like, oh, I think this is a test bed to get the new content pipeline. It's like, is creativity and passion driving the game or technology? You know, I feel like that's an important question to ask. But also with you, Fev and Luke, so B Davins gave a 1 on if you think they're gonna like faithfully adapt it and it's gonna feel like Halo 1. Basically, like, how much faith do you have on a scale of 1 to 10 in their ability to execute this remake?
I mean, I've played it, and it doesn't feel bad, but it feels nothing like Halo 1.
There is still a year, right?
There is a year, but I mean, there's a lot of fundamentals there that definitely aren't changing in a year. I mean, yeah, it doesn't feel bad. It's not a bad feeling game. It just doesn't feel anything like Halo 1 to me at all, in terms of gameplay, at least, and also aesthetic as well, for the most part. There's a few little things here and there with the aesthetic, which we'll come to later, but for the most part, the aesthetic also just doesn't resemble Halo 1 to me. It's like Halo Infinite evolved. But yeah, in terms of my rating of how faithful it's going to be, I mean...
Or how much faith you have in it.
I mean, in terms of being faithful, very little. Like, I'm going to be generous and say, like, I'm going to be really generous and say 4, because having played it, it just... There's the odd little thing. Okay, this is the weird thing, because there's the odd little moment where it does feel genuinely faithful. And this is such a minor nitpicky thing, but when I first picked the Plasma Pistol up, and I overcharged it, and I heard, like, the Bungie sound effect, I was like, oh my god, we're so... Okay, no, we're not so back. That's hyperbole, but you know what I mean, right?
Right.
Like, little things like that, or like, I heard the energy sword, and I was like, oh, they're actually using the Bungie sound effect.
We are so back.
We've never been more back. But it's little things like this. There's little moments of faithfulness that I really, really like. But it's just interceded by so many other things, like the gameplay, like the aesthetic of everything from enemies to weapons to the foreign architecture in a lot of places that just doesn't feel authentic at all. So I'll say 3.
Okay. You, Fav?
Well, it's a tricky question, because you're like, okay, well, how faithful, like scale of 1 to 10, how faithful?
Maybe it's not a good question, but I guess
I think there's a lot of people that would say, like, does it need to be a 10 out of 10 faithfulness to be a 10 out of 10 game? I don't necessarily know. I guess if you were
right, that's a good point.
Significantly transformative, and you made something that was, great on its own right. Like the Resident Evil 4 remake is not a 10 out of 10 faithfulness on the remake. The levels are different, the gameplay's different, the storytelling's different, the mechanics are different, but it is a fantastic video game, right? And so, and I have it number 2 right behind the original Resident Evil 4 for completely different reasons than I like the original Resident Evil 4 in a lot of ways, right? And so, to me, it's not so much that is it faithful, because it's not. Right? Like, yeah, the story, the levels, the encounter design, okay, they kept that, but you guys have played it. The AI's not right. The sandbox isn't right. The mechanics aren't right. The behavior is not correct, and especially even if you have some things that are the same, if the pieces around it are not the same, then those interactions are different now. So it's not faithful in the sense that, oh yeah, this is an authentic Halo combat evolved remake. I think it's just going to be up to personal taste whether or not they think it's good in spite of that.
Gotcha. I will say, on the AI front, like, CE has the best elites to fight. They're so agile and bulky, and there's very little bullshit surrounding them. Like, their tactics are very predictable, and so, like, it's never was the same after the first game. But
I still think that Halo 1 has the best AI interaction and combat loop out of any Halo game. I still think it's like the most pure feeling Halo experience out of all of them, to be honest. And Like, even Halo 2 and Halo 3, as much as I love those games, I don't think they're anywhere near as fun, like a core gameplay level as Halo 1. So, going from a game that, at least I rate that highly, to one that just feels nothing like it, is not the best.
Yeah, I would actually encourage, like, if for some reason you haven't played Halo 1, or maybe you just haven't played it in a while, and all those memories, or you're kind of just taking them for granted, literally just, like, go in there, fight, like, one encounter of elites, just see how they're fucking moving, see how they're dodging everything, they're taking cover behind shit, like... That game came out in 2001, and that AI behavior is more compelling to fight than like 99% of the games that you could go buy right now. Like, that kind of behavior isn't like, oh, that's old. You know, it was 2001. It doesn't matter because it was just good. So,
and it works so well with the game and its sandbox and its base mechanics. It really is just like, I mean, it is kind of like Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2 in the sense of like, man, this... When you play this, sure, it might look a little dated, but it doesn't play like it's aged at all. Everything just feels right.
It's timeless.
Yeah, timeless. Yep. Okay, so on the sprint front. Now, I don't know about you guys, but there were a lot of really boring parts of Combat Evolved, specifically like all this dumb Forerunner stuff on the walls. Like the art in that game, like I really didn't care about in Combat Evolved. It was kind of dumb, pointless, and so just being able to run through all of that and skip the really annoying music, I feel like is going to be a huge plus for the remake. Luke, your thoughts?
I agree. I just move on.
I agree entirely. So anyway, let's talk about something else. I agree. I really like running past like queues, and I really enjoy ignoring like really detailed wall decals, especially when those decals have been maintained in a remake. I really like sprinting past them and just not looking at them. I think it's more fun just to watch my weapon bounce up and down. So anyway, as we were saying, let's continue to something else.
Did you guys notice in that gameplay reveal that whoever was playing it, when they reached the silent cartographer, and I think it's when they unlock the door and they're running back out, and there's supposed to be invisible elites in there. The invisible elites actually appeared on the radar, and the reticle over them glowed red. So whoever was playing it was about to sprint through the invisible elite encounter, but the UI gave away the fact that there were invisible elites there. So it was like, you have an encounter.
They are balancing around sprint.
What's that?
They are balancing around sprint after all.
No. So it's very, it's like clearly on screen an encounter that before our very eyes has essentially been ruined, or not ruined, but like the original intent of going back into this room that you just cleared. Now there's invisible enemies. It catches you off guard, and now it's like, oh well, just look at the radar. There they are.
Yeah, it's the little things like that, the little details that if they get more and more of that stuff wrong is going to take a serious drag on it, especially for those of us that were playing it when we were kids.
I never even thought about all that shit. Like, cause a lot of the things that I notice are so great about Combat Evolved is the shit that they removed, or like the stuff that they messed with, and I'm like, wait, it wasn't like that. Oh, it was like, oh yeah, actually I didn't think about that. That was really cool.
That's kind of what
I also think from a pacing perspective as well, like the pacing of the level in that demo just felt so off. It felt fine. Even when he sprinted, like, very briefly on the beach, it didn't feel too bad. It's when he sprinted down to the security door and then back out. It's like, no. This is the first time that you're ever going to a Foreigner installation in the franchise, or one of the first times, right? You're meant to be taking this environment in. This is an alien ring world that the game is set on. It's selling you the universe. You're meant to be walking through it, taking in the murals on the walls, taking in the weird lighting, the weird hallways. And you're just sprinting through it and like ignoring all of that. It's like, how quick can I get from point A to point B, and everything in the middle doesn't matter. And it's the stuff in the middle that creates the experience and that creates the attachment. Like, the reason that I love the original aesthetic for the Foreigner stuff so much is because I spent so long walking through it, like taking in the murals, taking in the weird colours on the walls and stuff like that. And new players on the whole are going to miss that because the game's given them a sprint. Yeah, they can not sprint. Yeah, they can toggle it off if they want to, but 95% of, in particular, new players aren't even going to know about that, let alone do it, right? They're just going to realize that the game has sprint, so they're going to sprint through it, and they're going to miss so much. They're going to miss stuff that, like, even the artists on the remake have restored from the original, they're going to miss that as well. So it's like, I just feel like you're missing out on so much of the world building, and the pacing of it gets so badly damaged by having a mechanic like that in a game that's not built for it. Like, it's one thing to put it in a brand new game that's built around it, but when you're taking a game like Halo 1 that was very obviously not built with it in mind, that has all these encounters and all of these like areas and rooms and designs that you weren't meant to be able to sprint past, it's a totally different ballgame. Especially as well because, at least in my experience, it didn't feel like they'd really changed the level geometry all that much. It felt a tiny bit bigger, but it didn't feel like Halo 5 sized arenas where everything's massive to accommodate for sprint speed. It felt relatively similar, which initially I was quite happy with, but the more I thought about it, I thought it's actually bad because new players are going to miss so much.
I do think it's funny, like, for this game, there's even less of an argument for sprint in it. This Combat Evolved Remake does not have a multiplayer. Now, I could partially understand, right? If you're like, oh, we're making multiplayer, people just expect sprint. It's like, okay, yeah, you've made that argument for like 13 years. I suppose you can get away with it again. But this is just campaign in a game that didn't have sprint. And not only have I not seen any justification for its inclusion, the only thing they've told us is a justification for its exclusion. If you don't like it now, just turn it off. What the fuck are you talking about? What do you mean?
They're clearly very confident in it.
Hey, Fav, I know you don't like sprint in Halo 5 and like multiplayer. If you don't like sprinting, just don't sprint. You know, who cares if the game is balanced around it, right? Just don't.
You know, it's crazy. If somebody had told me that only 10 years ago, I would save me so much time complaining about it. I just had no idea. I could just completely ignore it, and it would have absolutely no impact on the game whatsoever. So
yeah, dude. I'll bring up my video again, but I had the foresight to go back to Fabian's like original sprint video and just listen to what you were saying in that. I don't know if you guys watched my video, but literally the things he said 10 years ago are still valid today. I feel like that aged extremely well because you said something like, I didn't hear any reasons for why sprint is good. I just heard that it's not as bad as it used to be. And that's effectively the same messaging here. Well, it's here, but it's not as bad because you can turn it off. I don't know. I think that shit's fucking hilarious.
You see the evolution of sprint, which is ironic because sprint is allegedly evolving Halo. And yet the evolution of sprint in Halo is just a consistent downward trend of minimizing its usefulness every time, right? They had it in Halo 4, in Halo 5, oh man, now your shields can't recharge when you're doing it. Now in Halo Infinite, we've cut it to basically 9%, and we've removed basically your ready-to-fire time. You can just shoot right away, basically. And now we have it all the way down to...
slide enhancer.
Yeah, honestly, guys, yeah, I guess we have it, but you could just turn it off, you know? So so that's kind of where we're at, and clearly that trend is telling you that they understand it's controversial. They understand it's something that has large ramifications on the game because they keep changing it and essentially nerfing it in a lot of ways. And now we've gotten to the point where it's so inconsequential, allegedly, that you can just turn it off, which ironically is a completely separate can of worms, because it's like, well, hold on. How are you building the game if you can literally just turn off base mechanics and it apparently does not impact how you've designed encounters or how you've designed play spaces or how you've designed your sandbox, right? Like, because all the conventional wisdom, everybody who's complained about sprint for the last 10 years has not complained because they don't like to click their left analog stick. That was never the complaint about sprint. It's what it does to the game, right? That has been the complaint. What it does to level design, how it changes encounter design, how it changes how you balance your sandbox, how it changes the moment. So if you have gotten to the point where you can just remove that, well, then it's like, well, how are you designing your game now? If
they're not designing it. That's the beauty of it. They're just
that's the concern. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, hey, that's a little concerning, right?
The easiest solution is to say, okay, cut sprint. We'll design the game without it, but there's a sprint skull. Because essentially what sprint would do to Combat Evolved is break the levels, as is demonstrated by their own gameplay reveal. It broke the encounter with the invisible elites. and it broke other sound cues elsewhere. So if you want the player to break the game, I love skulls. Give me the ability to break the game and, like, you know, Sputnik and just blast myself all over the fucking place. I love that. I love getting to places I'm not supposed to be. And if you're gonna have sprint, make it a skull. Don't impose the game-breaking mechanic as a base trait that everyone's going to have. Yeah. Make it a skull, and you'll fix it. You'll fix the problem.
But the concern and the problem is that's not how they view sprint. They view sprint as some industry market obligation that's like, it has to be there. We have to have it. We have no choice. And now what are we going to do? Because people hate it, and yet all of our data is somehow telling us that if we don't have it, we're going to be in huge trouble. I don't know why they can't look at the exit data of the past 3 Halo games where it didn't mean jack shit, but all of their data, apparently they cannot let this go. They have to have it.
They can't admit they were wrong.
They can't admit it. They have to have it. Now the problem is, as you guys have played it, it does appear a lot of things, especially encounter design, level geometry, that's the same. But because they want the outward appearance, especially to this new PlayStation audience, to be, hey, you can sprint, and this mechanic that's been around since 2006, this makes our game modern, because they have to have that at the forefront where they feel like this makes our game more approachable. But well, now we have a default base setting that apparently is not being accounted for by the rest of the design of the game. And that, you know, your skull idea, I've actually said that on Twitter and shit. I'm fine with that. If you design the game without it, because that's kind of what the bones of the game already are, and then you want to break your game with a skull, well, you're opting into that. That's totally fine.
And also think of the good PR from that. Yeah, we know people don't like sprint. We decided to take it out. But, you know, if you search around this level, you might find something that allows you to sprint, right? Think of like the response. It would be charming. It would be endearing. Yeah. Like, okay, we heard you guys, we took it out, but we're going to put it in a different way that doesn't break the game.
Right. But instead they're going with the obviously broken idea that, hey, we're gonna put sprint on by default because we think that's what the expectation is from a modern audience. And then the rest of the game actually isn't really going to be designed around it. And they're basically just kind of hoping nobody pays that close of attention. And now,
not while we're around.
You know, this is like ProCat bait a little bit. So, you know, I'm worried about that. And, you know, it is what it is, right? In a way, it benefits a player like me. Because if I turn it off and the game works better, okay, selfishly, that benefits a player like myself. But as far as like the health of Halo and the way it's being designed, I'm still concerned because I just don't think that's a direction we should be going in.
Yeah, well, the thing about Halo CE, the original, a big part of what made it so fun and so memorable was the fear. It was a really scary game, like especially when you were a little kid, you know, and you ran into those hunters, or even on Silent Cartographer, when you go down into that installation and you run into the invisible guys, or you run into the hunters, or when you're doing... when you first discover the flood, there's a whole lot of fear. But when you have sprint, it's going to be really easy to escape those hunters. It's going to be really easy to escape the invisible guys in the flood. You know, you just turn around and run the other way. Part of what made those hunters so scary is they were as fast as you are. You know what I mean? So if you get too close to them, game over. And I just feel like sprint's going to take away a lot of that fear. It's going to take away a lot of that excitement. Like, there were levels that when I was a kid, I started playing like when I was 7, there were just levels I couldn't even play because they gave me too much anxiety. And that's part of what made it such a memorable, special game. But that's going to be lost when you can just either sprint past encounters or run away from encounters.
Yeah, it's going to totally screw up the hunter dance too. Now, one thing I think they should change is the one-hit sniper headshot with a pistol. Even as a kid, I always felt like, man, I shouldn't be able to kill the hunters that easily. And so, there's mods that have changed that, but the good old-fashioned hunter dance, right, is just an elegant. It's the most elegant expression of FPS poetry and art. This big hulking monster, like even to this day, I've fought these enemies in this game for like 24 years, and even to this day, like based on the levels, like those guys can still kill me, right? If there's not that sniper headshot, so. Also, sprint will probably fuck up the whole the hunter dance and how you move and
It's gonna fuck up all kinds of encounters. We're probably, when it comes out, there's gonna probably one of us will do it, a montage of every gameplay encounter that doesn't go properly because now you have sprint. And like I brought up the library earlier, I can very easily imagine how easy it'll be to just skip entire flood levels. The 343 Guilty Spark or the library, if you just hold sprint and keep running forward. And it's like, yeah, you can intentionally nerf yourself, but if you're a true gamer, it's all about using every tool at your disposal to overcome the obstacles in front of you. It's no fun when you're just like intentionally playing poorly, when you're intentionally not giving it your all.
I think as well, the thing that I'm most not looking forward to with that is the amount of people that are going to have the tension in the swamp in 343 Guilty Spark damaged by sprint. Like, that entire first section where Foehammer drops you off and it's quiet and you're forced to just walk at a fixed pace, soaking in the atmosphere of this very, very, very creepy, ominous swamp with like infection combat forms,
it's
like
scary,
silhouetting on the horizon. You're going to miss that. So many people, like we won't, because we won't sprint, right? But the thing I'm looking at with this game is I'm looking at it from the perspective of somebody who's never played Halo before or who has never been into Halo and is now getting into it because it's on PS5 or something like that. Their experience is going to be so dampened by the fact that they aren't forced to soak in the atmosphere and they aren't forced to pace themselves through these environments that are meant to build tension to the big crescendo of the flood. Like, again, the same goes for when you get into the structure as well, and it's like really desolate and weirdly quiet and there's bodies everywhere. Like, dude, how many people, if they retain this, how many people are going to sprint past that Marine and Jackal that died together? So many people are going to miss that. It's the little details like that even though it's not like a mechanical thing that sprint damages, especially with Halo 1, atmosphere and tension was everything. I still think that it did atmosphere and tension better than any other Halo game. And adding in an ability to just double the speed and get through it quicker is so counter to building that, and it's going to damage people's attachment to it.
Yeah, so they already showed like what was the sound cue that they skipped in the gameplay demo?
Okay, I will play devil's advocate with that real quick. I spoke to one of the creative director at Worlds about that, and he was saying apparently those sound cues were always bugged, apparently, and they've fixed them for the remake, but I think he still skipped it anyway, right?
Oh, okay.
I'm not 100% sure. That's just what he told me. They said that they were always bugged, and they've now fixed them for the remake.
But again, if you think about like that dropship at the start of 343 Guilty Spark, like people can only talk so fast naturally, right? And so if you think about, if you're just kind of meandering through the forest and you hear that like dropship radio call, dropship Victor 993 clear, right? There's a chance like that's almost impossible to miss as you walk through, unless you like go out of your way and go around the swamp, but everyone's going to be drawn to the pelican that's there. But if you just sprint past that, there's probably a good chance you'll be able to sprint past and not even hear that audio cue that's supposed to show up and kind of get you to stop and listen to what's going on and take in your surroundings, Or if you can sprint through that log, you can sprint over that log and you won't even notice the little flood guys that appear that are like allies on your radar. So I do have to wonder if those details are just gonna, like, how many things are gonna get fucked up as a consequence of sprint in this game specifically.
Well, the thing is as well, you think about those things, and I assume they've thought about that, but at the same time, that's not a good thing, because I imagine what they'll do to counteract sprint is they'll make them more telegraphed. So there'll be something that will make that dropship stand out way more than it should do, or there'll be something that will make the, like, for example, the combat forms won't be just silhouetted now, they'll be like really obvious, and you'll get like a red reticle or something when you look at them. And again, that damages it, because the whole point is how implicit those things are meant to be. Like the dropship, the Victor 923 dropship, I didn't notice that for years when I was a kid. I had no idea that was there. It was like 2009 the first time I noticed that.
You call like yourself a lore boy?
That's true. You make a good point. But it's like ages after I first played the game that I hadn't realized that, and I went back and saw it. Whereas if they make it like so telegraphed that you can't miss it because the average player is going to be moving so much faster, a lot of the impact of those things is lost. And honestly, it's that kind of stuff that worries me in a campaign more so than balancing with sprint, because especially in Halo 1 where tension and atmosphere are everything, I just can't picture a game where you can have sprint and all these little implicit things that build the world.
I think we covered sprint pretty well. Yeah. I think it's gonna fuck up the core gameplay. They have to take it out, and if they don't, then
the
hopefully
ultimate
the story's
tragedy.
good.
The ultimate tragedy will be if this thing does come out and it does totally flop, and it, all the PlayStation crowd totally gives up on it because it just sucks eggs, and then they say, okay, Halo's done. I mean, we can't, they say game over. Like, we set the bar as low as we possibly could, and we still failed to clear it.
Yeah, that would be tragic.
No, I was just kind of echoing that. Like, yeah, that's obviously the concern. Like, yeah, it's not just about introducing it to a new audience. You have to nail it. Like, they have to love it. They have to love it. I mean, think about how we loved it when we first played Halo. Like, a lot of us literally converted to an entire different ecosystem. I was a PlayStation player. I played Halo at my buddy's house, and I'm like, I'm playing Xbox now. Like, this is what I want to do. And so if this is your big introduction to allegedly a set of player bases that never made that switch, then you don't want the game to just exist. You want it to be great. You want it to be something that they're attached to. And I don't know if you do that by appealing to kind of like a surface level, first 15 minutes of game feel. You have to hook them with the depth and the nuance, which, if we're talking about attention to detail, if you don't have that, then they're probably not sticking around long term.
Well, I mean, you also have to wonder, like, they say, like, this is the best time to hop into the Halo franchise and start your journey and all that, and there's no multiplayer, and no indication of what the next multiplayer experience was going to be. Luke, you were at Worlds with me. One of the things I kind of thought was like, well, it's kind of shitty that they didn't announce anything. This is like the last Infinite HCS, but they didn't give the people who just participated in it anything to look forward to. Those just multiplayer guys and those pro players, like, what, that's their careers. What are they? We need to know the future of multiplayer if it's not going to be in the CE remake. I don't know if you know much more about that. There's like rumors of a new multiplayer experience or something, but you'd think they would have shown that there, or at least been like Halo CE remake with multiplayer.
It was a weird time to do it. I still don't think they should have done that at Worlds. I think if they were announcing a full like Halo, even still, I don't think announcing a Halo game at something like that, an event like that, is a good idea. That should be saved for either a dedicated Halo reveal event or just the Xbox showcase, I guess. Like, it
just means we're not going to see any Halo stuff at the Xbox showcase, like usual.
Yeah, for like the 5th year in a row at this point. It was a weird time to do it, and I think announcing a single-player only game at a strictly multiplayer event was a weird choice. Very, very weird choice. I think Scump was talking about that on a stream. There was a clip that went kind of viral of him saying, like, this is the most tone-deaf thing. And I think tone-deaf is probably a bit much, but at the same time,
to also announce it on PS5 and wear like a PS5 shirt against this brand that has been associated with the life of the Xbox and the sprint, and you don't like it, just turn it off. Some people don't like sprint. There were some elements in how they presented this that made me feel like, are they just trolling me? Are they just telling me as a hardcore Halo fan to go fuck myself? It kind of feels like.
See, the PlayStation thing I didn't give a shit about, because my mantra for a while has been like, I don't really care about the success of Xbox anywhere near as much as I care about the success of Halo. And if it needs to go to PlayStation to be successful, then sure, do it. But at the same time, like we've all said, you can't just go to PlayStation and have it be successful, just like you couldn't just go to PC and have it be successful. You need to deliver. You can't just have a low bar and maybe meet it or maybe fall a little bit short. Like, you have to hit the ground running, and that's not a given. Just because you're going to PlayStation does not mean that you're going to hit the ground running and it's going to explode on PlayStation. It gives you a chance of doing that, but it's not a given.
Yeah. Also brings up the motivations for, like, why they're bringing it to PS5 now, and well, if you want people to experience, if this is the best time to come into Halo, why are you not porting the MCC over there as a good first impression?
That would be the sensible thing to do.
That would be.
Because it's great to open it up to PlayStation. I totally love that. More players means healthier playlists. It means a stronger network effect for the whole game. and that could benefit. What that would benefit most, ironically, is multiplayer. It's like they did the exact wrong thing, and they're trying to make this good first impression on the PlayStation crowd, and it's like if they come out with this thing and it's a total wet fart, they're going to make a bad first impression, and then it's going to make it harder to sell stuff to that audience in the future.
Yeah, it's also like, yeah, why would you not do multiplayer if you're going? I think one of the cool things about like Helldivers is something that used to be cool about Halo, in that the strength in numbers the community had gave further strength to the game, right? You had all these like social features and ways to create your own games and share them or play them, and like, so what is there essentially for PlayStation owners to rally around? Just like a 10-hour campaign that they're gonna, like you said, not talk about in 2 weeks. Like, what?
It's gonna be a lonely game that they get bored of very quickly.
I think the idea as well, the vibe that I got from the Vidoc was that they're trying to make schools this like hyper replayable feature that drives people to come back and play the campaign over and over and over again. And I think they're overestimating the power of schools. I know they're on about having like loads of schools in the game, which is great and all that, but I just don't think that's gonna keep people coming back. This is gonna be a game that, unless it's like an absolute complete out of the park 11 out of 10 game, it's gonna be a game that people play once, maybe twice with a friend, and that's it, right? That's it.
And then maybe revisit it in like 3 years or 2 years or whatever. But
I don't think schools are this like golden feature that is going to keep people just constantly replaying the game. Because I mean, even like back in the Bungie era, schools weren't why I was replaying Halo campaigns. I wasn't replaying like Halo 3's campaign over and over again because I was like, oh, I wonder if the catch skull would be more fun.
Right.
I just wasn't doing that. Like, even back then, in the absolute peak, I wasn't doing that. And I don't.
I love it when my shields don't recharge until I get into melee range. Wow, this is so great.
And also, they emphasize in the Vidoc, rightly so, they emphasize that typically schools are detractors from the experience. So they make it harder, they make it more difficult, they make it more frustrating. That's the point of them. That's good that they get that. But in designing these features that you're pitching for replayability as making the experience more niche and more difficult and more frustrating, you're just narrowing the pool of people that are gonna come back with those schools on. I thought that was really weird the way they phrased all that in there, because they made such a big point about schools in that Vidoc, and it's like, I don't think they're going to drive the replayability that you think they're going to drive, unless they're doing something radically different with them, which, I mean, maybe, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
I've actually got a question for you guys. I've got a question I want to ask you guys, actually. I'm interested. So, I am neither for nor against not doing multiplayer for this, because my mindset is, you guys know, I'm very much a classic Halo fan. Huge, 100%. I want no sprint, all that stuff. But I don't think the actual OG, mechanically one-to-one Halo 1 multiplayer would work as a modern multiplayer game. I personally don't think it would do. Halo 2 and 3, absolutely. But Halo 1, I just don't think it would do because of how hardcore it is naturally. So, do you guys... What do you guys think they should have done for multiplayer for this game? I'm really curious.
Well, when I made a video on it, I felt very strongly, like we were just talking about, that porting the MCC over to PlayStation made more sense than they don't need to remaster Halo 1 multiplayer. We already have a pretty viable, healthy Halo 1 multiplayer playlist on the MCC still. You can go play matches with those guys. I mean, it's competitive, it's not as alive as we'd like because there's not as many players online, but that would be fixed if you ported it over to PlayStation. I absolutely agree that I don't think they need to redo the entire multiplayer, but I feel that way about the campaign in general. It's like you have the original Halo CE campaign on MCC, and then you also have the remastered Halo CE campaign on MCC already. This is just like the height of redundancy. So I agree. I don't think they need to remaster the whole multiplayer. They just need to port over the multiplayer they already have. And what else would have been cool is this whole Combat Evolved thing, this could have just been a content update to the MCC. You know what I mean? Like, this is a small thing they're making to make it a whole game. When you have something like the MCC, which already has 15 different frickin' campaigns on there, you just put it in there, it'd be like a minor update, basically. This is like a player mod.
PS5, yeah.
This is a player mod that they're trying to sell as a full game.
Yeah, I do think as well with the potential, speaking of mods with MCC, if they'd gone all out with like, right, mods are coming to console, including PS5, we're porting the entire MCC to PS5, you've got this huge, complete package, full of content, full of UGC day one, I think that would have been way more impactful.
It would have been so exciting.
But then they wouldn't be able to test the Unreal technology and figure out how their new content pipelines are going to work. I feel like what we're realizing through this conversation is that they're making this remake for all the wrong reasons. It feels like they don't know what trend they're supposed to be copying right now. So fuck it, let's just go back to Halo 1, which is
I mean, the game does feel very much like we need to learn how to deal with Unreal, so let's make something that's already been made in it. I mean, ever since that first leak about it last year, that was the first thing I thought, like, right, this is them trying to get to grips with Unreal. This is their way of doing it. But it doesn't exactly, like you guys say, it doesn't breed the most assured game, I guess the term is.
Yeah. Well, to answer your question, like, it not having multiplayer, in a way, based on how the campaign is designed, is actually preferable for me, because all of the shit they've done...
We don't need to ruin both of them.
Right. It's like, there is a little less scrutiny on a single-player experience, in my opinion. Now, I know for other guys, it's complete opposite. But for me, when I have my grievances about how Halo has evolved mechanically, they are more tailored toward what it's done to the multiplayer side of things, especially because it's not just what I can do, it's what all of the other players can do. So I think there's a higher level of scrutiny than if they made a multiplayer component, especially of CE, which I don't know if you guys know, but that has a very dedicated like multiplayer fan base that considers that to actually be the pinnacle of Halo's multiplayer for all of the unique things that it does. And, I think it would be a completely different can of worms if they tried some of these things they're trying in campaign in multiplayer. Mm-hmm. Like it's a completely different conversation. With that being said, if you go back to Infinite, which kind of put us where we're at to begin with, and you look at the reasons that it struggled, even if you asked a Halo Infinite player that loves Halo Infinite and you said, hey, what was the biggest problem with this project? They would all basically tell you it didn't have the content. And they would basically tell you it didn't have the things that it needs to continue on for years and years. And it had multiplayer. It just didn't have enough of all of those pieces. So I just think when that was like the number one consensus, basically everybody could agree with that critique of Halo Infinite. And then your very next project is a remake of Halo 1 that doesn't even have multiplayer. Like, it's just like what's half of Halo 1. It's just kind of like, okay, well, it's one thing if you don't listen to me, right? And all of the shit that I think's wrong with Halo. But then if these people are telling you, the people that love your game are saying, hey, the game actually didn't work because it didn't have enough content and it didn't have these features. And then your very first project 5 years later doesn't have any of that again. It goes back to the fact that it felt like they almost went with this project because the expectations would be inherently lower, because we probably wouldn't go at it quite as hard as if this was a brand new game that didn't have all that shit. So yeah, it just, to me, we don't care
just
feels
enough
like we're
to
still
be
in a
mad.
rough spot.
We
don't care enough to be
I will, though.
I
That's
do.
combat
Yeah, I was going to
evolved,
say I
buddy.
do.
That's combat evolved. But
yeah, like you guys are more mad than me. I just want that to be known, like for real. And I'm usually probably the most critical here. I don't know about Dobbins as much, but between us three, you guys are a little more, oh, we can let that slide. I'm kind of usually the hard ass on some of this stuff. And I actually feel like, especially with some of like the lore implications that you guys are, I'm like, man, you guys are speaking a language I don't even know what's going on here. So I just think it's interesting that it's I'll leave it at that.
I would say I'm not as mad about what Halo Campaign Evolved is. I'm mad about what we didn't get, I guess.
Opportunity cost.
Yeah, I was expecting, they were teasing this announcement. I was like, all right, cool. Like, Infinite had its problems, but they're going to launch a new Halo game, and we'll just fucking, keep on keeping on and see how it goes. I thought it was going to be a full Halo game, the next sequel, whatever it's going to be. And maybe it'll be bad, maybe it'll be good, but it's at least exciting to give it a try and see what it's going to... This was the most, like... I was just, like, so deflated, sort of let down. I was just like, oh, wow, that's like... It was anticlimactic. That's how I describe it. It was the most anticlimactic announcement I have ever had announced to me.
Yeah, I did invite Racevic I invited Racevic to join us, but he said he had, laryngitis, but that he was also basically very apathetic to the announcement. And that's kind of like, so I got two things to say. One is that you only make a first impression. You can only do that once, right? And if the first impression from my end is like, oh God, I hope they don't fuck this one up too. Not the best sign. What's also interesting is when you think about where this game fits in like the Halo content release timeline versus Halo Anniversary. As much shit as people give the Anniversary remaster shit, as much as they give it shit, there were some things that were genuinely cool about it. Like we talked about the terminals, but also it had additional content for Halo Reach, and it had like its own Halo Reach CE multiplayer maps that were added to that game. And I remember
the multiplayer on Anniversary. Yeah, and it was the first time that Anniversary multiplayer had been on, or not Anniversary. It is the first time CE multiplayer had been on consoles. I had fun on the multiplayer for the Anniversary. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was like there was a deeper, it felt like they were pleasing the people who wanted more from the campaign because they added the, 30 minutes of terminals and additional cutscenes. And it was priced at like $40. Yeah, we'll give the graphics a new coat of paint. Didn't work out, but there was also sort of a novelty and a coolness to the idea of a remaster where you can toggle between two entirely different art styles and graphics. Like I always thought that was another really cool thing the Anniversary did, and it tied in with the multiplayer. And then the year after that, although Halo 4 sucked ass, there was a new Halo game pretty much immediately on the horizon. And so with all these things in consideration, this remake doesn't even seem like it's shaping up to be as good as Anniversary was.
So I want to agree with something you just said as well. I think the general view on this game would be quite different if two things. If one, we knew that there was another Halo game coming out that was a proper like Halo 7 style Halo game, maybe in like a year or two after, right? So maybe this is like the buffer, because think about MCC, right? When MC got announced, we also got the announcement of Halo 5 a year after. So we're like, okay, we're getting all these old games, we're getting a Halo 2 Anniversary, but we're also getting a brand new game next year. And it was the same with Halo 1 Anniversary as well. We knew that we were getting Halo 4 the year after. Say what you will about Halo 5 and Halo 4, at least we knew that there was something coming after. But now,
there was something to look forward to, yeah.
Right, like there was something beyond this familiar experience to look forward to. Whereas now, with the era of Halo that we're in now, where we're waiting like 5-6 years between games, it's like, who's to say that this isn't the last Halo game until, like, unironically 2030? Like, that could be the case. Like, who's to say that Halo 7 hasn't got like another 5 years in the oven left? Like, that wouldn't be too out there to say that. And so I think a lot of people, you guys in particular, like, probably, I'm not saying it will completely change your view on the game, but I think you're more against the idea of the game because it's like, we've waited for 5 years after waiting 6 years for Infinite, and we're just getting Halo 1 again. And there's no kind of, nothing on the horizon that is different and is new. And I think, I think that's almost like a universal issue, to be honest with you, because even people that I've spoken to who are excited for this game, a lot of them have also said to me, like, yeah, I'm excited for it, but I still really want Halo 7, and there's no sign of that anywhere. And there probably won't be any sign of it anywhere for like at least 2 years, if not more than that, with how content pipelines are for games nowadays. There's just, that's one of the main problems with modern Halo. There's never anything on the horizon.
Or at the very least, what they should have done at this announcement is like, and hey, we also, in addition with this remake, we're going to tie it in with Infinite. We don't have a new multiplayer planned, but we're going to tie in the release of this, with a bunch of free updates in Infinite or something. And a bunch of new maps, and try to revitalize the player base there a bit. I don't know. It's like, it kind of reminds me of when the Halo TV series came out and there was no game tie-ins for it. It just kind of seems like everyone is like segmented. There's not really like a cohesive vision amongst releases and stuff like that. Like they just released a new Pokemon game, and I still play Pokemon Go because I care seriously about my health and the steps I get in each day. But they had an in-game update, a major update, an event on Pokemon Go. They released a new TCG card set. You know, they had a new game come out. It's not even so much that I'm against the idea of a remake. It's just that overall it feels like the franchise has just been continuously mishandled, or so many opportunities are passing by, and there's no like cohesion. Like, we're just not going to announce multiplayer alongside this new campaign experience. Like, what are the pros who play Halo professionally, like for a living? Where are they gonna go next year?
Black Ops 7.
Oh God. Oh Jesus, man. You see what a horrible fate we're leaving those guys to. But
yeah, it does feel like kind of like what you guys were saying. Like the last few times they've kind of had these smaller projects, or not necessarily a full game, but a Halo project. It was almost like, hey, this is an appetizer but the next thing's coming and you already know what it is. And I'm a little worried that for a while, you know, to piggyback off the fact that Halo's had a content problem where it went from this bang for your buck game where it had every feature under the sun, and then it feels like every mainline release had less and less and less. It's just when they do stuff like this, it's like it feels like we're still in that era of just piecemealed Halo, where it's like, oh, here's a little bite-sized half a game where you get the campaign, and then maybe there is another experience. But is that a full Halo 7 all the bells and whistles experience? It doesn't feel like they've transitioned into realizing that is important for Halo, and that was a big part of why it was successful.
Ironically, Fabian, in some ways it feels worse than being given a Halo game piecemeal, because the whole idea of having something to look forward to, when I think about Halo 5 and how it launched without many playlists, without many game modes, there were so many problems with it. The best thing you could say about Halo 5, outside of the gameplay, if you really liked it or not, was the actual live service for it. They added so many different weapons and vehicles and all this shit, and a lot of it was redundant to the sandbox, but they also had wacky modes for it. Like, we're not even getting games piecemeal, right? Where like Halo 5 had a pretty good post-launch live service. They were very consistent. They had big updates like every month or two, and we didn't get that with Infinite, and now we're just at a point where we don't even know what the future of multiplayer is.
Right. It's like instead of episodic content, you get your little bit and it's like, and that's it. There's no part 2 even.
Yeah, even Halo 4 had Spartan Ops, man. Come on. Give me a bone out here. Give me something to chew on.
Yeah, it's like no episodes, just really short ass shows.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm amazed that they didn't announce a multiplayer project at the same time. So I thought they were going to, I was pretty adamant they were going to do that. They were going to be like, right, so here's the remake, and then here's what all the people that are here at this venue for multiplayer are looking for. And there was just nothing. There wasn't even any like hint at it. Like, I was at the very least adamant they would give us a hint at it, because we know they're working on multiple projects, but they didn't even say anything about it. So
they're working on a follow-up to the hero shooter that they're going to spend 3 years of development on and then completely abandon. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, like, outside of this remake, let's take a look at where Halo is right now. Not in the greatest spot. Including this remake or not including it, how would you guys steer the ship back towards relevancy and, like, a better place? Like, that's an oversimple question, but like, if you had to course correct Halo's direction, what would you do right now?
I will give you my 2-point plan to save Halo. Okay, step 1. All right, it's a new Halo game. The game starts with sort of like a cutscene. It's a dreamy sequence. You see all these images fly by in the dream sequence from Halo 4 and Halo 5 and Infinite. It's sort of fuzzy.
I already know where this is going.
I know where this is going already.
Master Chief wakes up. He's still in the cryo container from Halo 3. He says, "Wow, Cortana, I've been having such strange dreams." She says, Yeah, that'll happen. Don't even worry about it. All right, fresh start. All this bullshit is retconned. We just fresh start from the end of Halo 3 and sort of start from scratch and go from there. Okay? Now, the second point. You have to have non-sprint playlists in Halo multiplayer. You can keep sprint. I get it. You know, the kids these days, they do TikTok. They need dopamine. They got to sprint. I get it. You keep the sprint playlists. And sprint can work in some Halo settings. Like, I liked Warzone. I like Big Team Battle right now in Infinite. It works, but you keep non-sprint playlists. All right? Now, here's the thing. People get upset about non-sprint because it's like a lore thing. It's like, oh, your Spartan can't sprint? All right, here's the lore explanation for why your Spartan can't sprint or clamber. Okay? In the books, when regular dudes, when like, you know, the ODSTs would try to wear the Spartan armor, they would like accidentally rip off their limbs because the Spartan armor was too strong. Okay? So you say something along the lines of, okay, we have Spartan suits that regular dudes can wear, but they just can't sprint and clamber because they'll accidentally hurt themselves, like they did in the books. That's true. In the books, the regular guys couldn't wear the Spartan suits. Okay, so that's your lore. You just need like 4 playlists in the multiplayer. Classic Team Slayer, Classic Team Objective, Classic Rumble Pit, and then maybe like a rotating action sec where you put in fun stuff. Then you have that in there for all the guys like us, for all the guys who grew up on it, who just want that good old-fashioned Halo experience. You put Sprint in the multiplayer, it waters it down, okay? It's because, and you can look at the maps. Look at a map like Midship. Look at a map like Lockout. These maps came in Halo 2. They've been remade in just about every Halo since then. But once they get into the Halos with Sprint, you see that the map isn't exactly the same because they have to expand it by 10 billion% because like we were talking about earlier, otherwise the only viable option would just be to sprint and try to melee. There wouldn't even be any shooting. Okay, so they have to make the maps bigger. It waters down the gameplay because now you lose all the vertical and close quarter stuff. You lose all that fun stuff where you have like 3 dudes looking at each other on the mini map. They're all stuck on this one tower and you're trying to figure out, is he going to go up the ramp or down that ramp? Should I jump down? Do I drop a grenade here? You lose all that flavor. It's watered down, right? It's like, you know, I got this extra large Coke I'm drinking right now. When we started this conversation, it was ice cold. It was like a punch in my face every time I took a sip of it. It like made my face fizzle with joy. But now the ice is melted. It's watered down. I'm still going to drink it because it's still good. It's fucking Coke. And I can still taste the fucking Coke, but it's watered down. It doesn't have that same punch. You got to have playlists in Halo that don't have sprint. And one thing in Infinite...
You're talking for the next game?
For the next game, the next big release. Okay. Assuming we get there. Assuming we live long enough to see... The franchise lives long enough to see the day.
Yeah.
It's got to have... And in Infinite, they have... Infinite has had, on multiple occasions, they had like like a seasonal playlist they would put in where it was just Halo 3 maps and the sprint was disabled and it was pretty popular. What does that tell you? It tells you there's still that hunger there for that kind of Halo experience. I know we all have it.
That's all they get. Nope.
Yeah, exactly. It's so unfortunate.
Sprint forever.
If they could find a way to just, be nice to both sides of that debate, give a little something, and you get a fresh start and you go from there.
Really nice to one-sided.
Yeah.
That's how you save. That's how you save Halo.
That's your recipe. Okay. I'll pass the buck to you, Fabian.
Yeah, I mean, so here's where I disagree a little bit, right? To me, one of the biggest problems is just Halo has been so inconsistent. Basically, from Reach, I will include Reach, from Reach to now. Every single game has just mechanically different. They're always on the base mechanics. They're always like buttons on the controller. That's how we change. That's how we got to innovate. And it's always some new combination of sprinting or sliding or thruster packing, or now it's a different kind of slide. And now even in Halo Combat Evolved, we have sprint. We don't have slide. We don't have clamber. We've changed it again. And as we continue to have these mechanical inconsistencies, it means that the foundation isn't able to be solid from game to game like Halo 1, 2, and 3 were able to build on each other. So whatever we do, we gotta figure out and kind of solidify Halo mechanically. I have my preference for that, obviously. But even if it's another way that they find that's successful, you need to commit to that. And so my disagreement as far as like, well, we need some playlists that do this and we need some playlists that do that, I feel like we need to just build a confident game, and we need to build all of our content, all of our sandbox balancing, all of our map design philosophies, all of our AI behaviors, all of our moment-to-moment engagements and interactions, all of the little minute intricate details. They need to have a solid foundation that we can base all of that stuff on. And so I just feel like if we split the game where it's like, well, we have this playlist where you can sprint in this one, but you can't sprint in that one. It's like, okay, well, does the way we balanced our BR for sprinting change when we don't have sprint? Because, if you don't have sprint and you slow down the strafe inertia a little bit, okay, maybe it's a little bit more projectile based. You add sprinting, you add more mobility options, that dynamic changes, right? Obviously, which B. Dobbins already mentioned, your map design changes, right? So you got to split the map pool. I personally, as a classic Halo fan, want new classic Halo maps built by a studio. I don't want to play on Forge maps every time, and I'm not going to. So to me, it's about committing to one thing, being extremely confident in that, and having all of the pieces of your game being built on that. And maybe we don't get all the way back to where we were with one game, but have the continuity and start building that foundation back up. Because right now, we have no fucking idea what we are. Like, Halo has no idea what it is at all. We feel like you can just fucking turn shit off. It's fine.
Yeah.
So
I was thinking, man, Halo kind of feels like the New York Jets. They haven't been good since 2010. Like, we don't, you say that. We don't know who we are. Like, in the locker room at the studio, that does kind of ring true. And here's the thing, right? Like, to piggyback off of that a little bit, I'm down for the idea of sprint in a Halo game. But I think, like you said, you gotta fix the foundation. You gotta build the thing that all your games are going. You gotta plant the soil. The soil and the foundation is everything, and all the trees and plants can spring out of that. I have a theory that if Halo 5 Guardians was just like a spin-off and not a direct sequel, maybe it didn't have a campaign, maybe it was $40, maybe the side campaign was something else, maybe it didn't involve Chief. But if Halo 5 Guardians was a spin-off, and there was an additional, like, okay, here's the actual Halo 5, Halo 5, as it was, would not have gotten nearly as much flack. I think part of the solution might be, like, okay, you do have this split between classic Halo and the broader modern audience, right? Well, but what does Call of Duty do? Call of Duty has a Modern Warfare series and a Black Ops series, and back in the day, they provided completely different, like, multiplayer experiences. So I agree with that. Like, build the foundation so that you can have the freedom to have a classic Halo and a more futuristic modern Halo, and then you can please both crowds. But yeah, so that would be your recipe.
Yeah, well, and another thing is, like, you keep saying that each new Halo game has less content, but you have to keep fucking restarting every new Halo game because all of your shit doesn't work anymore. All of those old maps, well, new set of mechanics. Like, we gotta rethink this.
Scrap it all. Start from scratch.
So it just, like, people don't piece that together when they're like, oh, these mechanics don't matter. Who cares that you can run faster? And yet they'll tell you that not having as much content as you used to is a huge problem. And it's like, well, can't you see the fact that when Halo was at its peak in content, it's because it was continuing to build on the foundation that the game before it had? Every time we have to mechanically reinvent ourselves, we have to mechanically rethink how the entire game is designed. And you're shocked that each new Halo game is launching with less and less. So it's just, all of those pieces matter. Everything matters. That's the key component. Every single individual piece, even if you look at it in a vacuum and think it's not a big deal, if all of your individual pieces equate to not being a big deal, then your game's not a big deal, right? You need to make sure everything is important, treat everything as if it's an essential part of a whole, because it is. If you do that, Halo's going to be a lot better off.
I like that. Or just put a toggle for sprint, because we don't know what the fuck we're doing. I don't know if I don't fucking know. You decide. You fix it. You fix it. All right.
Just fucking Gary's mod next time, basically. Just you just can animate this yourself, actually.
Yeah, dude. Okay. One quick thing about the sprint toggle. This isn't like an accessibility feature for someone who's colorblind. Like, this is a base mechanic that you can turn on or off. What? Okay, I'm not gonna go into it. All right, Luke, you're your recipe for course correcting the Halo franchise.
Yeah, no, I just want to say real quick, I agree pretty much with everything that Favin just said. I 100% agree with building a foundation to continue through multiple titles so that content is transferable and so that you've got a solid baseline that people can expect from the franchise. My kind of, again, I guess it is kind of a 2-point plan as well, like Dobbins. I firmly believe that Halo needs more games that, I think if it did more games, especially with spin-offs, it would be able to cater to both modern and classic fans way easier and way more confidently than it can now. My way of doing it would be to have the main series, the mainline games, so Halo 7 onwards, be pretty much classic Halo games that are as we expect. They are games that launch with campaign, with multiplayer, with customs, with Forge, with theater, with armor customization, all that kind of stuff. Your literal, just run-of-the-mill expected Halo game with, my preference would, of course, be like classic Halo gameplay. No sprint, no clamber, no slide, none of that stuff. Very nice and simple to understand, very approachable, very accessible, low skill floor, high skill ceiling. But then what I would want as well, at the same time, is spin-offs of any variety that have batshit insane mechanics, completely different genres, different tones, different atmospheres, different kinds of stories. Like, I mean, this is a broken record at this point, but why have we never had an Arbiter Souls-like game? Why have we never had a Resident Evil style horror game?
What the fuck happened to Lasky? Where is that guy? He just disappeared. Where's the ODST tactical British shooter? How did Locke? Did Locke die? What?
4 years later, we have no idea. Like this, like, dude,
what are the endless? I have an endless amount of questions.
Where's the, like, Spartan Lock style fucking MGS5 style game? Like, there's so many different games that this franchise could be doing to expand the universe, expand the franchise, reach other audiences, and appeal to modern fans with modern mechanics, while simultaneously having the core games appeal to classic fans. And not even... I kind of don't like when people say that. Like, I don't want to just appeal to classic fans. I don't think that classic gameplay only appeals to classic fans. I don't think it does at all. I think it's so approachable and so much more accessible than most modern games that it would appeal to broader audiences as well, very well. Like, if you pick up a game...
This guy gets it.
And... See, I learn from the best.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, you pick up a game where the core mechanics are run, jump, pick up weapon, grenade, melee. That is so much more approachable than learning God knows how many different button inputs or
thrusters,
like movement mechanics
ground
and thrusters,
pound, Spartan charge, slide.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Halo
so much
adds
more
mechanics
approachable
to be more accessible. It makes a lot of sense, guys.
Yeah, it really is way more accessible, and that's not to say that you can't have the other stuff in other games. I think there's room for both, absolutely, and there's clearly audiences for both as well. But I don't think that completely shuttering out classic Halo is ever gonna end well, because you're creating games that are, like, in and of themselves, very, very hard to get into. I feel the same way about, like, modern Halo as I do about Titanfall. I fucking love Titanfall. I think Titanfall is an excellent game with an excellent formula, but I have so many friends who, when Titanfall came out, they bought it, and they couldn't come to terms with the wall running or with any of the faster movement, so they ditched it. And I genuinely believe that that's the reason that at least Titanfall 1 didn't do that well, was because the gameplay was just too fast, too heavy. Even though I loved it, I think that was why it didn't do well. And I think Halo suffers from a similar thing, where it's like the core gameplay just isn't hyper approachable anymore. But that's a whole different topic. I would have classics, the main series, the classic gameplay, and then have spin-offs with sprint, with clamber, with slide, with thruster, with ground pound, with any other batshit insane stuff, with war running. Just spin-off should be the realm where Halo can really push itself and do weird shit and experiment. And yeah, sometimes it won't work, but it's a spin-off game. It's not the end of the world. You've got your mainline game just kind of going along in the background, sustaining people, and then these other games coming out that people are dipping into, and they're like, I really like this mechanic. Let's get another game like this. Or they play it and they're like, this doesn't really work with Halo, so okay, it's a side game. It's not a mainline game. It's not as much of an investment, so it doesn't matter as much if it's not as successful.
Okay.
Run over.
All right. So I'll give you my answer now. I do think the idea of just the phrase classic Halo fan, like classic fan, is kind of funny, considering that Halo 3 did sell 14.5 million copies. So at the very least, the number of classic fans numbered in the tens of millions. But we, of course, we're not satisfied with that, and we need to keep chasing a broader audience. I think the recurring pattern with 343 and Halo Studios is that every single game they've made has chased trends in some way, shape, or form. That, like, that's why the identity of the franchise is so inconsistent from game to game, because it's like, oh, Halo 4, what do we do? Well, let's copy Call of Duty. Okay, Halo 5, oh, advanced movement, yeah, let's copy that. And then let's copy the campaign, because Marvel movies and Avengers is really popular, so let's try to create a Halo cinematic universe. Oh, that didn't work. Infinite, I guess let's soft reboot the series and try to be a God of War Ragnarok type story with the one continuous camera angle, and let's also make it a free-to-play live service. That didn't work. Well, shit, we just did a reboot of Halo 1. Let's do a remake and try to be like Resident Evil 4. So I think number one would be stop chasing trends and chase what made Halo popular in new, creative, innovative ways. It feels like they have no faith in what Halo was and what made it great. And I, to this day, I still do not understand why. But I will say, if you don't have faith in the Halo IP, then fucking give it to someone else. Sell the IP, give it to another studio, whatever. I think when Bungie finished Halo 3, what did we have after that? We had ODST, we had Halo Wars, and we had Reach. So those were effectively like 2 spin-offs and a prequel. So the idea that, like, what do we do? There's nowhere to go. Halo 1 again? There's so much potential, especially like you think about the Dead Space remake and how the necromorphs kind of resemble the Flood in some ways, right? Their whole point is to assimilate people and accumulate biomass before doing some horrible, tragic, interstellar genocide against all life. They're basically the same, right? Gravemind, the Hive Mind. So the fact that, like, even games like Dead Space that were remade a couple years ago are inspired by Halo, and yet Halo itself has never done like a fully fledged horror experience, it does kind of boggle the mind. I just saw some footage. You guys remember the Mega Bloks game that was canceled? That shit looked kind of cool. I would have played some cartoony Halo thing, like where you're just running around shooting. I mean, think about how popular Lego Star Wars is and some of those Lego games. I mean, so my solution would be essentially this. Like, if Halo Studios is gonna fuck up the games that they're working on, then please give the franchise, give the IP to other studios. You know, give it to someone who does care, who does like Halo, because when they do that, that's when we get the best stuff that we have in this like 343 Industries era, right? Think of the cutscenes in Halo 2 Anniversary. That wasn't 343, that was Blur Studios. That was a studio that cared about what they were doing. Think about Halo Wars 2. That wasn't 343. That was what? Ensemble? Creative Assembly? Right. So the best, or think about El Dorito. That was some Russian company and everybody loved it. Think about Cursed Halo. That was a mod. It feels like none of the best things about Halo come out of Halo Studios or 343. So give the IP to someone else and let somebody else cook with it, because we can't, you know, it's like a legacy of failure. We've had 15, 14 pretty much like downward trajectory years with this company, and just give someone else a shot with it. I think that would be the best chance for success, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's kind of what I was hinting at earlier when I was talking about the Mickey Mouse comparison. Someday.
One day.
Public domain one day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you guys all touched on it, though. Like, I kind of have this idea, like, you can make whatever the fuck you want as long as you're giving people what they want. Mm-hmm. And I think if we have that solid foundation where we have Halo in a good spot, you know, Dobbins mentioned it, Ackman mentioned it, Experiat mentioned it, like, okay, instead, I don't necessarily want split playlists, but if you give me a classic Halo game and then you make a game that plays just like Halo 5, I don't give a flying fuck. Like, I'd probably, like Ackman said, appreciate it more, because it's not replacing something else that I love that's distinct. And as long as, hey, this one project is being built cohesively and it's has a singular vision that it's trying to achieve and it does it, then if this side project or another studio or whatever wants to make a Halo 5 successor or a horror game or whatever, all of that's fantastic. I do think the success of the main game is going to be what enables that, because I don't know if Halo is in a position right now where it can just, make whatever the fuck it wants.
Right.
I think it is a little bit on a little bit more of a, I don't want to call it a budget, but it doesn't have just carte blanche like it used to have. Like it does need to be a little more tactical with its resources, but if we get that if we get that main game back on track, and we start building Halo back up, then, if you make another game that has whatever the fuck, thruster packs, ground pounds, I don't care, right? It doesn't, in fact, it could be literally like a 3-to-1 ratio. If I just get a classic Halo game like once every, maybe even just 10 years at this point, guys like me are going to be happy,
Yeah.
But I just think we need to be more confident. We need to stop feeling like, Halo can't be what it was, because that's not what games today are. It's like, yeah, no shit. Like, that's why we want it, because there's nothing else like it. So that basically wraps it up for me. I think those are kind of my thoughts, guys.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, what you just said, like, Halo can't be what it was, that does tie into the whole, like, all they do is chase popular trends thing, which is where I think has gotten us where we are today, more or less. But I think
I agree with it being a confidence issue as well. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
I wanted to just mention that. Like, I think there is so much more confidence to be had in this brand and this IP that 343 definitely did not have. And right now, it's not looking like Halo Studios have as much of it as they need to either. But there is a lot of confidence that you have. I think if you just went into that confidence and built a game solely inspired by it, I do genuinely think it would do well. But that's pretty much me done.
That's how you save Halo, ladies and gentlemen. Well, if you want to check out any of these fine gentlemen and their channels, you can find those links in the description below and a pinned comment as well. So, any final thoughts, guys?
That was fun. If we get this in front of the right Halo developers, I think we really will fucking save Halo. Fingers crossed.
No, I think they'll
They
just
do watch
ignore
videos.
us like they always have.
You must
be
watch
new here.
videos. I know that for sure, but you never know.
All right, well, thank you guys for joining me today, and that's all we've got.
Thanks,
All
guys.
right.
Thank you.
Peace.